If you guys have AT&T as a service provider, I believe is one of the worst companies to have if you plan to travel internationally. And here's the reason why. You know, for the past 20 years, I went between T-Mobile and Sprint, and they merged together. So let's just say at least 20 years plus. But as of October, I switched over to AT&T because I was quoted a lower price for the bill. And also because, years and years you hear that Verizon and AT&T, they're the cream of the crop. They have an extensive coverage area in the whole US, etc. So I said, let me try it out. But recently when I was checking, so maybe it was Saturday or Sunday that just passed, I was checking my account and they pulled $649. Now, this was my first month setting auto pay. And I'm thinking to myself, our monthly bill is $250, which is too high, but let's get to another thing. And I was like, if I forgot to pay last month, which I know I didn't, that would be $250, that would be $500. Something is not right. But I did have a slight inkling that it has something to do with my trip to St. Lucia last month. And here's why. When you land in any country, you usually get messages from your provider, so AT&T, as well as the local service provider, which in St. Lucia is Digicel. And Digicel is all over the Caribbean. And they kind of give you your options of the service that they'll provide or what certain charges are going to be. So AT&T had this thing where they said they have a $12 a day talk and text international pass. I declined it. And then I also went a step further. I turned off the data as well as the roaming because I didn't want any confusion with the company. I didn't want any confusion. And I did the same with my other phones, my phone and my wife's phone. And then a little bit after me declining it, maybe an hour or so, I see that there's $100 roaming charge. And then maybe the day later, I see $300. I'm like, yo, what is going on? Like, how am I? What's actually going on? So I said, I'll figure this out when I get back. But it's life. You get back from a trip, trying to get everything back on track, and you kind of forget about it. And it's when they actually charge you that you try to get back to it. So anyway, I called a representative. I went to the mall knowing that they weren't going to help, and they gave me a number to call. I called, spoke to a nice lady, but at the end of it, she couldn't help. I couldn't stomach just losing almost $400 for something I didn't use. Because another thing is, I only use the Wi-Fi at the hotel. Because when I go abroad, I'm not looking to make calls like that. So, at all, really. I know to get on Wi-Fi, you got the option of Wi-Fi calling, and then when you're on Wi-Fi, you can do WhatsApp. There's so many platforms you can use to actually contact someone these days without having to actually call them. And that was the situation. So I spoke to a second person, and he saw that they charged me, even though I declined the $12 pass. They still charge me, and they charge $6 for the other lines. So he saw that if they would have just, since they charged me anyway, if they would have kept that open, that would have covered the roaming charges. So he was able to work it out to where I can get the credit. And another thing is I was walking him slow because I told him I'm a traveler. This never happened with your competitor. And so I guess because he was trying to sell me on maybe getting an international plan and maybe they get commission, I was walking it very slow so he can give me that credit. So he got me the credit or whatnot. So here's what they advised me to do. And this is for anybody, because you might be a first-time traveler and you have AT&T and you're going abroad. When you're on the plane and your phone is supposed to be in airplane mode, keep it the whole time in airplane mode. And then when you get to your hotel, use the Wi-Fi. And as I said, once you hit the Wi-Fi, you can use Wi-Fi calling and this, that, and the other. Which is funny because I see even Wi-Fi calling is shaky with AT&T unless you have a certain package. It's bugged out. But at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you what's another option. So you can either do that, keep the phone in airplane mode, and then use the Wi-Fi, or just do the payment. Like if you're the type that call your people a lot, or talk and text, or you don't want to have to worry about anything, it's good. Just do that plan. But I'm not used to that. I'm used to T-Mobile. The great thing about T-Mobile, which is to me is the best when it comes to traveling international, because we were at a resort. So even if we went out the resort or whatever, you could talk. I mean, you could text in and out unlimited. And then if you need to make a call, like let's say there's an emergency or somebody so happen to call you and you were waiting on a call, it's like 50 cents a minute. In some cases, 75. But a general call just to touch base with somebody, let's say it's 5 minutes, is only like $2.50. That's better than having a $12 package where most of your texting, you could just do it when you're on Wi-Fi. And also another reason why T-Mobile is better is because they have agreements with airlines. So once you input your phone number in, like on the plane, on the monitors, once you input it, you gain access to content. And that's more even stateside, where a lot of companies now, they have tried to save money, and there's less monitors, but you get to access content just because you're a T-Mobile customer. So hopefully that was helpful. Let me know if you had that experience, because what they also told me is, if your phone makes contact with the network, so let's say your phone is not in airplane mode and it makes contact and it knows that it's in St. Lucia or another country, I at least knew to turn off my stuff. A regular person is not going to go turn off their stuff. So if they declined it because they didn't want to pay the $12, their charges would be way more than mine was, and they're not going to get their money back. So I'm just really trying to help you guys out. As always, if you have any questions, or let me know if you've gone through that experience where you went away, you had AT&T, and then you came back to balloon payment. All right, let me know on the next one. Catch you guys. I got to get working.